All right, sweet. So this was gonna be just a really short video, honestly. It's talking about a very kind of specific situation that could occur. On our previous video, we have discussed the idea that you have a discontinuity that could be a whole. That would be that you get a 0 over 0. Also that it could be a vertical asymptote. That would be something that was a number over 0, right? But let's look at what happens here. And I want to show you, before we do the algebra, I want to show you the graph so that we can see what is different about this, okay? Visually, what is different about this? There's an absolute value. Okay, so let's just substitute. Okay, if I substitute a -3, that gives me a -12 plus 12, which is 0. Okay, cool, nothing crazy, that's happened already. Top -3 times 2 is -6, plus 6 is 0, absolute value of 0 is 0, times x squared, who cares, is 0, right? So in my brain, right, from what we've done, you should be like, bless you. All right, dude, this is a whole. We should be able to factor this out. And we will, I'll show you a trick, but first let's talk about the graph. So here's what the graph looks like. Okay, so the problem is at -3, right? So -3 is about right here. You got a visual. What kind of discontinuity do I have? I have a jump discontinuity, which we have discussed. Okay, so through the algebra, based on our experience, we should have been expecting a whole, right? Now visually, you can see that the answer, because it's from the left, I am going to have an answer, right? If I didn't have from the left, would I even have an answer? No. Okay, so now let's discuss what that answer is. Now, from the left, I mean, whatever this value is, I don't know what it is. I would have to zoom in and try to figure out what that is. Cool? But are you clear what's happening? So why is the jump happening? The absolute value. Are you guys with me? So I'm going to then change my phrasing from before. 0 over 0 doesn't guarantee a whole. I would say most of the time it's a whole. In this unique situation, I'm going to be honest, this is the only one that I've personally encountered. I don't know if there's anything out there. It's the absolute value. You have an absolute value where you are creating the 0 over 0, then that's when the jump occurs. Cool? So now, let's discuss how you would attack this. Well, there's two ways to do this. One of them I've already taught you. Well, if it's from the left, couldn't I just pick numbers that are close to the left and then just number sense my way out of this? I could try that, right? Don't want to focus on that on this video, so let's discuss it. Ready? Cool. First, the fact that I'm getting 0 over 0 means I need to cancel something. Let's do it. Limit x approaches -3 from the left. Denominator factors out into 4 times x plus 3. That kind of makes sense that it showed up. Because that, if I'm plugging in -3, that's what happens, right? Okay. Here's how you fix the whole idea of the absolute value. You ready? Do you agree that on the inside of the absolute value, I can factor that out and it becomes this? I cannot cancel the x plus 3s as it stands right now because one of those x plus 3s in the inside of an absolute value function. So I need to get rid of the absolute value. And here's the trick that I'm going to show you. Technically speaking, the whole idea of an absolute value is that if you get like a 2, which is positive, the absolute value of that would be 2. But if you get a -2, the absolute value will also produce a 2. So I need to consider the idea of sometimes I get a positive or a negative on the inside, but it still produces a positive number. So what I need to do is the following. You ready? I'm going to keep all of this just how it was. I want the x plus 3 to stay like this so I can cancel it. So what I need to do is the only thing that's left over with the absolute value, it was a 2, right? But I need that to be gone. So the way that I can fix that is by putting a plus or minus 2 with it. Cool? Sorry, just like one, okay? Now, here's all you need to consider. The fact that you're approaching this from the negative will tell you which one you need to keep. Whether you need to keep the plus or you need to keep the minus. In this case, since you're approaching it from the left side, you're gonna keep the minus. Cool? We're gonna finish this problem and then we're gonna compare back to the graph and you see how it does work. Cool. Cancel that out. Plug in -3. -3 squared is 9 times -2 is -18 over 4, which is -9/2. If you recall on that graph, I had a little circle down here very close to -5. That's your trick for this. Cool? All right. Thank you. Have a good night.